Right, Overdose Galm V2 Plus, built by yours truly. In the rear, we have the magnetic light mount setup because I wanted to just take the switch and the plugging out and playing and all that stuff. So in the rear, the lights turn on and off. In the front, they stay on. That's because I didn't wire them to the front. And that is my light setup by Scale Reflex Hella Yellow Lights. Now I'm taking off the body to show you guys more in detail. Shout out to Ramstop at Ramstop on Instagram and a couple other guys. They've told me that my body lines are too thick, so I'm gonna, fix that here in a couple months maybe. There's my signature rooftop Shadow Black by 3M or Avery vinyl. And inside there's all the wiring, and you can see in the rear I have the wires soldered to the magnets themselves. And you'll notice I have the Yokomo light buckets for the JZX 100 chaser body. That's what this body is. It's spray painted in orange and backed with white. You'll notice there's a couple of red accessories. We have a fan, then we have the funnel, and then we have magnetic mounts, and we have a couple other things in there too. I think there's a fan mount, and there's also the slide rack, some knuckles, and a servo mount. Up next, we have the Tetsujin wheels, favorite part of the chassis because those wheels are adjustable. And then up next, we have the Overdose front knuckles that have KPI adjustment. And there goes the fan again. Why I'm pointing at it again, I don't know. Maybe it's because I love it a whole lot. Now let's zoom in. All right, first things first. We're gonna talk about that Yokomo V4 Gyro. Tried and true, never gonna fail on you, and you can never complain about it. It is the best gyro that I've ever dealt with. And you can see it's red and gold. Why they don't make it red and black or red and silver? Urgh. Then we have the servo mount and the Yokomo SP02 V2 servo. After that, we have my LED battery voltage indicator. And then you can see the nitro turbo fan and the fan mount. That fan mount is expensive, very expensive for what it is. Now we can't forget the floating motor mount system, clearly indicated by the words floating motor mount system. In the rear, the funnel for the rear ESC fan, and then that's the Sanwa SV-D2 ESC. Taking a closer look at these magnets, you can see they have wires connected to them, and that's how you get the on-off function of lights from the magnets. Up next, we have the OMG 10.5T motor, and you're gonna hear just how quiet this motor really is. So it doesn't make that much noise, and honestly I might change that up, but for right now I can deal with it. I like it. So now let's shut it up. All right, let's lift it up. Let me show you that rear. Look at that beautiful funnel. Just some kind of performance thing that it just does for me. I really love the way it looks. There goes that Overdose ESC mount in the rear. I got it perfectly up at a 90-degree angle. Then there goes that floating motor mount system again. Pretty much it's just performance-wise, the motor can move a little bit. So instead of it being so stiff, it allows it to move in the rear. Look at that toe angle. I can push the toe in or out because I don't have that center suspension mount to adjust toe. So I went and got those rear toe knuckles. Rear toe knuckles? How about just rear knuckles? And up front, there's nothing much to it other than the front knuckles. And I got all of these red accessory parts from a all red Vacula 2. I got it on a trade, and pretty much I didn't have to spend money on these parts. I only had to trade my vehicles for it. Right now you're seeing just how smooth those bearings are in those knuckles. It's really smooth. As you can see, one's still spinning from the time I started spinning it. Now we're gonna go over to the slide rack. You should notice that there's a red mount for that slide rack too. All the red accessories are just awesome. And the slide rack is amazing. It's really smooth. And then up next, you can see that the layup stand down overdose red aluminum servo mount is holding the Yokomo servo. And making our way to the other side of the chassis, you're going to see that OMG 10.5T motor, the Gen 1, closed can, quiet as ever. And then you're gonna see my battery connectors, nothing fancy, but they are 5mm bullets. Here's a closer look at the red and black wires for my lights that are on the body. You can see it's just sandwiched in between that little square piece and the actual magnet, and those wires run up to the channel 3 port on the receiver. There's my chassis protector. Clearly I needed it. I like driving this thing outside. Its chassis does it all, so I really like driving it in general. And the weight on this chassis is also, remember that this chassis has the greatest shocks on them. I think the upgraded shocks on this are like 200 something bucks, but the ones that are on them right now will do just fine. And now I'm gonna go ahead and switch the chassis over so you can see that it has a spool diff in it. Spool diff is fine for me. It's more for an advanced setup. Some people say, some people like whatever. But I like the spool in it because it's consistent. It's very consistent. And in the front, you'll see that I'm running 0 toe, probably 0.5 degrees of toe out, and the chassis just drives. It goes wherever I tell it to go. I let off the throttle, it grips up. I get on the throttle, the front does what it's supposed to do. It doesn't get all squirrely. The chassis listens to my commands. Now, let's go ahead and drive this bad boy. Let's have some fun.